See the recording sign. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. Maaser Sheni, hey, you'd bet. I have not eaten of it in the morning. I'm sorry. I have not eaten it. I have not eaten of it in my morning. However, if he did eat it in his morning, he cannot take the confession. Neither have I consumed any part of it when unclean. However, if he did separate from it when unclean, he cannot make the confession. Nor given of it for the dead. I have not brought from it for a coffin or shrouds for the dead, nor have given it to other mourners. I have hearkened to the voice of the Lord my God. I have brought it in the chosen house. I have done according to all that you have commanded me. I rejoiced and caused others to rejoice with me. Look down from your holy habitation from heaven. We have done what you imposed upon us to do on us. Do you also want? You have promised us. Look down from your holy habitation from heaven and bless your people Israel with sons and daughters in the land which you have given us, with dew and rain, with the offspring of cattle, as you swore to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey, that it might impart flavor to the produce. Hence they said, Israelites and Mazarim, well, we'll do well today. Hence they said, Israelites and Mamzerim make the confession, but not proselytes, and not freed bondsmen, nor do they receive a share of the land. Where Meir says, nor priests nor Levites, since they did not receive a share in the land. And Yoshi says they have the cities with outskirts. Okay.
Okay. All right. And the final Mishnah of Masechta talks about Yochanan Kohen Gadol. He was he was a Kohen Gadol after the time of Shimon HaTzadik. Okay, who Hevir Hodayos Maaser. So he actually prevented people from saying the Vidoy Maaser. Why? Because they couldn't say anymore Gamnes Hativ la Levi, that I've also given it to the Levi, because they made a punishment on the Levium because so few Levium came back from Bavel with Ezra. They seemed to be happy in Bavel, so they didn't bother coming, and they therefore Ezra made a knas on them that the Maaser Rishon would not go to them; it would go to the Kohanim instead. Okay. Furthermore, returning to so once you can't give to the Levi, then you can't say the Vidoy Maaser either. Okay. Furthermore, he was Mavatel him.
Were there more Kohanon that came than
Yes,
Levites?
yes, more. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Then Afu Bital is Ma'orim. Now the Ma'orim was a practice that they used to sing at the time of the korbanos of the Tamid. The Levium used to sing Ura Lama Tishan Hashem, which is a pasuk from Tehillim. And Yochanan Kohen Gadol stopped this. He said this is you're making a lot of emphasis on this verse. It's Ki'ilu Hashem is sleeping. Now the Ura Lama Tishan Hashem, the pasuk itself is talking about that at the time when Yisrael are in trouble and the goyim around them are living in tranquility, right? So since it's called Hester Panim, so it looks ki'ilu like Hashem is sleeping, but in the time when the Beis Hamikdash is alive, is in existence, and Yisrael is on their land, it's not right to say this pasuk, said Rabbi Yochanan. Okay, Esa Nokfim. Nokfim was a practice that they used to do with the korban. That if the korban was an egel, they would take they would hit it between its horns and make scratches in it, so that blood would go into its eyes and it would get confused and not able to fight back. So that made it somehow a little more passive and easy to shecht it. So Yochanan Kohen Gadol got up and said, "Stop this! This looks like you're putting a mum. Technically, it's not a mum, but it looks like you're putting a mum into these creatures, and also it's was it? I don't. They don't actually mention there about Tsar Bali Chaim, but that would have been what I would have thought."
This is for shechting, but I would think that they wouldn't be able to shecht this way because it would be
because it
You
puts
know,
a mum in it, right?
not just a moment. It's just it doesn't seem the proper way to do the shechting. They don't.
Yes, it seems pretty brutal, doesn't it?
Right.
Okay. Right. So then, V'ad Yamav haya patish makeh b'Yerushalayim. So the sound of the hammer blow is found in Yerushalayim. This is talking about on Chol Hamoed. So the artisans continued to do work that was a davar ha'aved. Okay, so they found a halachic keter to carry on doing their work. But Yochanan Kohen Gadol said this is just not, it's not lafi kavod of the Yom Tov. It sounds like people are just going about their work as normal, and he stopped this, and he said it said we've got to have quiet in Yerushalayim, and it shouldn't disgrace the Moed anymore.
It seems that from the notes that Yochanan was the one who instituted the rings in the base of Mikdash.
I
It
missed
says
that.
it's unless I'm reading it wrong. He installed rings fixed in the ground, which held the animal's feet and thus assisted the slaughter.
No, I missed that when I was reading the notes. Where is that?
It's right before the Yad Yomin. Yomin.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Amad v'hiskin lahem taba. Oh, there, right, is the last one. Okay, right. So to make it easier for them, he put those rings in the ground. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for mentioning that, because I missed that note. Okay. All right. Ubiyamav ein adam tarich lish'ol ala demai, and he was the one who came up with the whole institution of demai. Up until he came along, people bought stuff from an Amaretz and they weren't sure, should I take Maaser, should I not take Maaser? And he said, blanket rule. When you're buying from an Amaretz, you treat it as if the Truma has been taken and the Maaser Rishon and Trumas Maaser have not been taken. Okay, so he solved that problem. Mahadran Allah Maaser Sheni. Okay, Maseches Challah. Okay, so as we know, when we make a large batch of dough, you're required to separate aside a piece of dough which is to be given to the kohen. It's got pretty much the same din as truma, and if possible, it should be separated in tahara so it can be given to the kohen to eat. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go straight into the first Mishnah. Chamisha dvarim chayvim b'chala. There are five substances, 5 grains that make a chiyuv of challah. Chitim, wheat; seorim, barley; kusmin, spelt; shiboles shul, oats; and shifon, rye. There is some dispute about shiboles shul, if it's really oats or if it's some other kind of species. But I think the generally held opinion is that shiboles shul is talking about oats. Okay. Hare elu chayavin b'chala. So in all these cases, all of these grains, if you make a dough out of them, you have to take challah off them. And they join with each other. So if you have remember, there's a minimum shear that, as we're going to learn later, which is 5 eggs. Okay, and if you have 3 eggs of wheat and 2 eggs of rye, and you join them together into a dough, that's chayav. Right? They join with each other, as opposed to we saw in many other cases when you had things that had a minimum shear. For example, most recently we were talking about in Nagayim, if you have a baheres next to a karachas, next to a negana karachas, and each of them is a half of a gris, they don't join. But in our case over here, we learn that all of these different types of flour do join. Let's start from Zemzev. Asurin bechadash milifnei Pesach. So the din of chadash is that if any new grain is not allowed to be eaten until the korban ha'omer has been brought, which is on first day Chol Hamoed. And Bisman Hazeh, you wait until the end of first day Chol Hamoed of Pesach, and then the new produce is permitted. Now that means any produce that has taken root by that stage. So even if it's still in the ground, the Omer permits it. But if it was only planted after that stage, if it only took root after that stage, then they have to wait until the following Pesach in order to be eaten. Okay. אסורים בחדש מלפני הפסח או מלקצור מלפני העומר. And also מלקצור מלפני העומר, that's talking about Ketzira, the harvesting is for the, I think that's for the korban, for if you want to bring it in as a mincha, just to make sure that I've got that right. Victor Mishom Isra Malach, wait. בקיצור לפני שנאמר הבעצם יש עומר רשס קצירכם שיהא העומר ראשון לקציר של כל 15 מינים. Okay. Interesting. So the Omer has to be the first thing that you harvest. So you're not actually allowed to harvest anything else before the Korban HaOmer. That's interesting. I thought it was talking about flour for Korbanot, but yeah, okay. And if they took root before the Omer HaOmer Matiran, then the Korban Omer permits them in the ground. And if they had not taken root, if the person only planted his grain after first day Chol HaMoed, then then he has to wait until the following Pesach before that grain will be permitted.
It comes from the Gezerah Sheva? It says this is derived through the Gezerah Sheva of Rishit, the first.
Of Rishit. Yep.
Right. Okay.
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 Mishna base. Ha'ochel mehem kazayis matzah b'Pesach. So if you make matzah out of any of these 5 grains, and you want to be yotze your mitzvah of matzah at the seder, yatza yirecho baso. All of these 5 grains are kosher for matzah. Kazayis chametz chayav v'ikaris, and all of them are therefore able to become chametz. So that's what's in common. If they are left to become chametz, then a person would be chayav kares for that. Nis'arev echad mehem b'chol aminim. If any one of them got mixed up in some other mixture, hareze over b'Pesach, then you're chayav on Pesach for eating such a mixture, because I don't think it's a kares if it's part of a mixture, but nonetheless it's asked to eat a mixture containing chametz. I think we're talking hareze over b'Pesach, which means he's over on Bal Yirai Bal Yimatzeh, and not owning Pesach. So he has to get rid of those mixtures on Pesach. Okay. Hanoder min hapasu min hatavua asur bahem, divrei Rabbi Meir. So if anyone takes a neder that he won't eat bread or that he won't eat grain, then all of these 5 species are prohibited according to Rabbi Meir. They say it's specifically talking about dagan is referring to these 5 grains, but tavua is actually a broader thing. So another minute, dagan. But mashma, if somebody made a neder of tavua, it would actually cover a much broader spectrum of things. Okay.
Bread and tuva apply to the 5 species only, whereas dagan includes anything stacked up in heaps like grain, and thus the ban on dagan incorporates all kind of pulse.
Oh, is that according to Rabbi? Oh, right, Rabbi, I had it the wrong way. So dagan is the broader one, apparently. So tua einan v'lashin dagan kol davar she'osim mimenu keri dagan. Yeah. Okay, so Rabbi Meir is actually the more machmir over here. So
What does it mean? The Dagan includes anything stacked up in heaps.
yes,
Like
that
what?
anything stacked up in heaps. Yeah, so they're including legumes that they pile into a heap. Whereas the Chachamim said that no, Dagan is only referring to these five species.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Hanoder min dagan eno aser elemihin. V'chayvin b'chala u'b'masros. And all of these five species are liable to both chala and to all the masros.
Right. Okay. All right.
All right, Maaser Sheni, back to Maaser Sheni, Dalit Gimel.
Cool. If the owner said for a seller and another said for a seller, the owner has precedence over because he adds a fifth. If the owner says for a seller and another said for a seller and an isser, that of a seller and an isser has precedence since he adds to the principal. If one redeems his own Maaser Sheni, he must add a fifth to it, whether it is his or was given to him as a present. One may act cunningly regarding Maaser Sheni. How so? A man says to his son or daughter who are of age, or to his Hebrew manservant or maidservant, "Here is this money, and redeem for yourself this Maaser Sheni." But he cannot say to his son or daughter who are minors, or to his manservant or maidservant, because their hand is as his hand. If one was standing on the threshing floor but had not money at his disposal, he may say to his fellow, "This produce is given to you as a present." And then he says, "This is redeemed with the money that is in the house." Okay.
Okay. Next
Demai?
up is Trumos.
Trumas, not Demai. We finished Demai. Okay.
Trumos Yud and Hey.
If fenugreek fell into a wine vat of truma or Maaser Sheni, if the seed was sufficient to impart a flavor, but not the stalk, if of the 7th year of vineyard kalayim or of a hektish, if the seed is and the wood impart a flavor. If one had bundles of fenugreek of vineyard kalayim, they must be burned. If he had bundles of tevel fenugreek, he must beat them and calculate how much seed they contain and separate from the seed. But he need not separate from the stalks. But if he separated, he must not say, "I shall beat and take the stalks and give the seeds," but he must give the stalks with the seeds. If one pickled olives of chulin with truma olives, either crushed ones of chulin with crushed ones of truma, or crushed ones of chulin with whole ones of truma, or in truma water, they are forbidden. But whole ones of chulin with crushed ones of truma are permitted. Okay.
Now Demai.
Right. Okay. A perforated pot is as the earth.
I think you've got your bookmark in the wrong place. Just one more.
One more,
We're starting on 11. Yeah.
I had my finger on it. So, if he gave truma from demai from demai from definite tevel, it is truma. But if he gave truma again,
But he must go back and give Truma again.
oh, from definite tevel for demai, it is truma. But may not be eaten until he has given truma and maestris for it. If one leases a field from a Jew, from a non-Jew, or from a Kuthian, he sets their share before them. If one rents a field from a Jew, he must take truma and give it to him. Rabbi Yehuda said, when he gives him from the same field and from the same species. But when he gives him from another field or from another species, he tithes and gives him. If one rents a field from a non-Jew, he must give the tithe and give it to him. Rabbi Yehuda says also one who leases from a non-Jew, the field of his fathers must tithe and give it to him.
Okay. Negaim.
Deficient blonde hair renders the nesek tame, whether together or scattered, surrounded or not surrounded, changed by the nego or not changed. These are the words of Reb Yehuda. Reb Shimon says it only renders tame if changed by the nega. Said Reb Shimon, it is a logical argument. If white hair whose tumah is not curtailed by other hair renders a nega tame only if it was changed by the pre-existing nega, should not a deficient blonde hair, which is curtailed by another hair, render tame only when changed. Rabbi Yehuda says whenever the Torah needs to be say change, it says change. However, a nesek about which it says it had no blonde hair within it renders the nesek tamei, whether changed or not changed.
Right. So Rabbi and the halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda here. So it's just learn straight from the pasuk. Don't come to me with the kal v'chomer. Just look at the pasuk.
Uh, New growth, meaning a black hair, saves from blonde hair, and from expansion, whether together or scattered, surrounded or not surrounded. The remaining hair saves from blonde hair and from expansion, whether together or scattered, but only surrounded when it is on the side. It does not save unless it has two hair spaces distant from where the hair grows naturally. One blonde hair, one black hair, or one blonde hair and one white hair do not save. Blonde hair that preceded the nesek is tahor. Rabbi Yehuda renders it tamei. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says it does not render tamei, nor does it save. Rabbi Shimon says in nesek, that which is not a symptom of tuma is a sign of tahara. Okay. We have avos. He used to say, the born shall die, the dead shall be resurrected, and the living shall be judged. To know, to make known, and to understand that he is God. He is the molder, he is the creator, he is the discerner. He is the judge, he is the witness, he is the litigant, and he will ultimately pass judgment. Blessed is he, for before him is neither iniquity, nor forgetfulness, nor favoritism, nor acceptance of bribes, for everything is his. Know that everything is according to the accounting, and do not let your evil inclination assure you that the grave is a refuge for you. For against your will you will be formed, and against your will you will be born, and against your will you will live, and against your will you will die, and against your will you are destined to give judgment and accounting before the King, who reigns over kings, the Holy One. Blessed is He. Um, With 10 divine statements, the world was created. And what does this come to teach? Is it not evident that it could have been created with one divine statement? Rather, it is to hold liable the wicked who destroy the world that was created with 10 divine statements, and to bestow optimal reward upon the righteous who sustain the world that was created with 10 divine statements. There were 10 generations from Adam to Noah. This is to show that how much patience exists before him. For all those generations angered God increasingly until he brought upon them the waters of the flood. There were 10 generations from Noah to Avram. This is to show how much patience exists before him. For all those generations were increasingly contemptuous before God until Avram came and took it upon himself to the reward for all of them. Okay.
Okay. And
Vamos.
Yevamos.
Ben Beit Shammai said she may marry and she receives a ketubah, but Beis Hillel says she may marry but does not receive a ketubah. Beis Hillel said to them, "You permitted the grave erva offense, but you will not permit the less grave offense, money offense." Beis Hillel replied, "We find that the brothers do not inherit the estate on her testimony." And Beit Shammai replied, "We can learn this from the ketubah document in which he writes to her, 'If you marry another, you shall receive what is written to you.'" Beis Hillel recanted and began to rule like Beit Shammai. Everyone is believed to testify for her, except for her mother-in-law, her mother-in-law's daughter, her co-wife, her sister-in-law, her husband's daughter. Why is there a difference between testimony concerning a bill of divorce and testimony concerning death? Because the document is proof. If one witness said he died and she remarried and then another came and said he did not die, she need not be discharged. If one witness said he died and two witnesses said he did not die, even if she remarried, she must be discharged. If two witnesses said he died and one witness said he did not die, even if she had not remarried, she may do so. If one wife said he died and one said he did not die, the one who said he died may marry and collect her ketubah, while the one who said he did not die may not marry and collect her ketubah. If one said he died and one said he was killed, the mayor said since they contradict each other, they may not remarry. Rabbi Yehuda said, and Rabbi Shimon said, since both agree that he is deceased, they may remarry. Why does Rabbi? I mean, I have an idea, but Rabbi says that they contradict each other. I mean, he
Well,
died.
they're giving conflicting testimony. The one of them says he was killed, one of them said, and one of them says he died. So you're thinking, okay, so that says to me that there's that you're not corroborating each other.
If he was killed, he died. That's
Yeah, that's right, and that's what everyone else says. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon say, well, they both agree that he died. But Rabbi Meir is medactic on the fact of how did he die, and it sounds like you two are contradicting each other, and we don't believe you.
right. If one witness said he died and one witness said he did not die, or a woman said he died and a woman said he did not die, she may remarry.
She may not.
May not remarry. Sorry, I could cause a lot of trouble that way.
Yeah, you could cause a lot of trouble. You got to be careful how you read your Mishnahs. That little word that turns everything around.
Okay.
I'll just pause. There was a cute story.